Hi Sunil sir, hi Vivek, a huge welcome to ETimes and we are so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much.
A
Thank
huge
you.
congratulations for Dharavi Bank. I absolutely love the trailer, I love the cop and criminal gangster chase that has been happening both on either sides of the system. How challenging was it for you both to get into the skin of your characters?
And,
I would say tough initially. Tough
Mhm.
initially is when you started prepping for it. It was very, very difficult. I didn't know what to do because Talai was a larger than life character. He's not all black, he's grey, he's nowhere close to white. But at the same time, believes that it's his family that he's doing everything for,
Yeah.
and business is what he's doing, and business has to work as per his rules and ethics, and that's what he's trying to do. So didn't have a clue as to how do I set that character up. What should be that body language? South Indian, Tamilian, but in Mumbai since the age of 12. So speaks the language, understands the language, but does he speak it right? So, diction
Yeah.
is something that we needed to sit on, and I sat with Samit and the rest of the team, Sarthak, to understand what they expect from me. Then the body language itself, you know, what kind of a personality is he, you know, he, as an individual, understanding that all that he's gone through in his life, that experience coming into play there. So should it be a body language that shows more age or shows more experience? All these little things were taken into consideration, and once physically we were ready with how Thalaiva should be, then the process of shoot and everything was easy because you've been padded so beautifully with some brilliant actors and a brilliant technical team that it fell into place. Now it's for the audience to see, decide whether they've liked it, hated it, what.
I'm very sure they're gonna love it. What about you, Vivek?
for me, I think it was there was an angle of trying to uncover JCB Jayant Kavaskar, this guy who looks tough but looks real at the same time. The physical transformation had to happen. I had to look like a guy who's at that age in his life who probably spends 14, 15, 16 hours working, not 3, 4 hours in the gym training.
Yeah.
So it looked like that guy. And then it also looked like this guy who you can't read. So Jayant is this chess player. He's manipulative. Uh, he believes that as long as his integrity towards justice, as long as the end is correct and honest, the means are justified. So in that process, we had to figure out how to play this character, and that's what I spent time with Samit, and we kind of came up with this idea that let's remove a lot of lines. Let's try and keep Jayant more about the eyes, more about not
I think
verbalizing,
he has
but
less dialogues
yeah,
also.
yeah, and that was by design. I mean, when we decided to work on it, we spent about almost 45 days discussing and just fine tuning the character, and eventually I think it's worked. I hope it's worked. That you see this guy and you say there's something going on in his mind. You can read, that that's something happening, but you can't know exactly what he's going to do next. So he's saying something, thinking something, doing something, and he's playing that chess game. And that was what was so interesting and layered about him. And then within that, there are moments and flashes where you suddenly see this guy who has such a strong veneer open out. You see the vulnerability. You see the deep pain that he's dealing with on the inside, and why he's dealing with that deep pain. And then you see these moments and flashes of just raw vulnerability. And then he goes back to being that vineyard guy. So it's a very interesting journey as an actor.
I'm excited to see you.
Thank you.
So, both of you have done several action and crime films in the past, right? So, how different was Dharavi Bank from the rest?
I think I think the authenticity.
The authenticity, the storytelling itself
Yeah.
is very, very different.
Yeah.
And when you're on OTT, there is so much more scope to play those characters.
Yeah.
The layering of the
Depth, no?
characters.
You can go so deep because you have 10
Tremendous.
episodes to play.
Absolutely. And for me, it was absolutely a first time. First time in the sense, playing this character who's larger than life, even from an age perspective. Someone who's probably closer to 65 and 70s to play that kind of a character to adapt that body language. Somebody who's very sure about himself, probably in the day as someone who's all power. And when he's by himself, he doesn't know the path that he's chosen, whether it's the right one for his family.
Yeah.
You know, he has one son who's wild and crazy, and the other one who talks about making everything legit and coming out into the world as a white-collared individual, as a businessman. So he's stuck between both the worlds. He has to control a certain part of the people around him who are trying to rise and grow above him, and at the same time he wants to be called, wants to be known as a citizen of the city of Mumbai, as one of the elite who does business and who's trying to set up an empire, because he's there everywhere, whether it's the hotel business, whether it's the banking, whether it's the financial stuff, he's everywhere. But how does he become more legit is the path that he's looking for. So
Dharavi is such a monumental part of Mumbai's history and culture. What are your, memories associated with it and its people?
I think for me, I explored Dharavi during the shoot like I could have never imagined. I've never gone so deep into Dharavi. And normally we just drive past it or we fly over it when we're landing into Mumbai. But to actually go right into the heart of Dharavi and to touch the heart of Dharavi, and because literally Anna and my vanity vans and everything were like way outside. Once you left the vanity van, it was done. There was no break, go sit. So for my experience was walking in there, getting so much love from the people, the kids playing around. It's like this big, massive family of people, right? Interconnected across caste, creed, religion, color. They're all one fabric, one incredible lesson for harmony, right? If you go and look at them. And the other thing was, I realized something, that even though the houses were really small, their hearts were really big. Because every time they would see us standing, waiting for the next shot, there's a break, they would just come and say, please come into my home. Please come. And they'd put that one fan on. Clean, neat home. Outside you're seeing open sewage, you're seeing nalas, you're seeing gandagi, which is the state's responsibility, the city's responsibility. But inside, when you go into their house,
It's very neat and
it's so neat and clean, and they're offering you their food. And I remember one moment, I was mentioning earlier that, as I was leaving from that Kumbharwada where we shot that action sequence, the pottery community, I was talking to this lady and I was asking her about this chutney that she is making and stuff like that. And we connected over the few days. And as I was leaving, and I was calling her Mai, so she came and gave me a thela, a bag full of stuff. And I opened it up and it was these diyas. And she said, Diwali is coming. I want these to, be lighting up your home. And immediately I thought of a transactional, story. I said, I must pay you for this. She said, बिल्कुल नहीं. माँ बोलता है, मैंने बेटे के घर के लिए दिया है. I was so touched. I was like, wow, man, there's so much love. That's that love that keeps actors like us going. That's that fuel for us, right? That kind of unending love for 3 decades for Anna, 2 decades for me. It's amazing.
You have any memories that way?
Oh, absolutely. Disorganized from the outside, completely organized from the inside. A small scale industry running in every house. Ghar Ghar Karobar is a perfect example. Is Dharavi, self-sufficient, organized, manufactured just about everything, and quality products, which means immense amount of talent. A world on its in itself, love, affection, festivals, everything being enjoyed like probably we wouldn't be doing it. Neighbors taking care of each other. The system around it, the open nalas is our responsibility. In a sense, the BMC's responsibility. What is in their control is something that they've kept so very dear. It's not funny.
So true.
Lot of love and affection shot all over the world, but I haven't shot as smoothly as I did in Dharavi. It was love. It was not chaos. So when we said we need to shoot, they allowed you to shoot, and also participated as a part of the crowd in the shoots, disciplined and behaving themselves. So unreal. And I shot quite a few days. I shot quite a bit in Dharavi because that was my world then. And just super memories.
Sir, do you feel you should have explored more grey characters and antagonists a little more through your career in the 90s and early 2000s?
I think I did enough. Most of my characters were great. Most of them, whether it was Mora, whether it was Dhadkan, where all my hit films have been grey characters. I did. Now the opportunity is, I took a while to settle in and believe that I can get back to work. Probably 7, 8, 10 years.
Wow.
And came back to something where I believe great space to be in. But at the same time, the kind of work that I'm doing is something that I have chosen to do now, keeping age in mind, keeping audience in mind, keeping everything in mind. Because I've stepped back and I've understood why I failed when a lot of my contemporaries took off. What were the mistakes I made? What was the reason that though they love me so much, they refused to pay for me, to go and watch something. And I think to a great extent I've understood it. I'm not saying that, I'm here to kick it out of the park, but
Yeah.
at least this time do whatever I do extremely, extremely sensibly.
Okay. There's also a talk of modern heroes not wanting to do two hero films. And at the peak of your stardom, you never shied away working with Akshay or Asarko Sanjay Dutt for that matter. What was your thought process like?
Success. I only saw success. As long as the product worked, we worked. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's the biggest problem today. Each one is insecure about themselves.
That is
Each one, it talks about the amount of money he wants to take home and not about how much money he wants to put into the product. When they want to talk to their audience, it's only pre-release, not through the year. When you redeem your audience and you want your audience to stick to you, you've got to give them something constantly. You have to think of them and not yourself. I don't take my dog for a walk when I have to release a film, or I don't go and support an NGO when I have to release a film. That has to be a part of my bloody DNA. And those are things we don't talk about. How I do my hair, what Japanese food I eat, or what car I'm buying is not what the audience is interested in. The audience is interested in what their real hero is doing.
Yeah.
Is he a great human being? Is he doing stuff for people? Is he considerate? Which is forgotten.
Not just to run promotions.
Yeah, we knew every union, every association, every organization that worked for films. We were there for them. We supported them. So when people went against us, they stood up for us. They were our voice.
Yeah.
Today we have no voice.
Yeah.
Each one has to speak to himself, and the
Yeah.
world is thrashing you. So when you're being thrashed, you're hiding.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have your workers, your union, your people speak up for you and say, what? Our entire world runs on this. This is our bread and butter, like it is yours. Things fall into place. So there's a
Vivek,
big gap.
Vivek, at the same time, you also made your debut with RGV, and it did set a tone for your career right at the beginning with ensemble casts. So, and were you comfortable working in multi-starrers throughout?
I have. I've always been. I think, like Anna correctly said, that you have to be secure as a person.
Yeah.
You don't have to be all about just how you're going to be perceived. You just do.
Yeah.
And then you do that on screen. You know how good you are and how much effort you can put in, how committed you are, and you give it your best. And you believe in it that this is a team. If in one scene Talaivan has to shine and Gavaskar has to go down, he has to. If the reverse has to happen, it has to. That's the storytelling. If you make it egocentric and about a larger than life image and this is about me and feeding your own ego as a star system, you ruin the films, and that's what you're seeing. It happens time and time again. You see superstars fade out and die suddenly only because they haven't been able to understand it's not about them. It's about the films, it's about the fans. That's what made them, right? That's what made them. That the fans that make us by giving us that love and support through the years. We have to cater to them. We have to think of them first. And that's essential. Like Anna said, even in real life, we set examples. I remember Anna called me once when he was doing something so amazing. He was the first guy in the industry to stand up and say, what about our stuntmen? How about creating an insurance for them? When they get hurt, when they get injured, their families, how do we keep them secure? And then a lot of us jumped behind him and said, yes, Anna, this is an amazing initiative and we'll do it. I remember me realizing when I met somebody on a set that junior artist only found out very late that he had cancer. So I worked with Cancer Patients Aid Association and started hosting free cancer screenings. Brought Tata Memorial Hospital doctors, brought KEM Hospital doctors and said, let's do free cancer screenings for all our junior artist associations. They just have to turn up. Let's do a screening so that we know early stage that there's a detection. And we can save lives. We can help them, at a time when the help is needed, not when it's too late. So those kind of things we don't do before a release or a promotion or self-promotion. So I think that's important.
You're no stranger to stories of Mumbai's underbelly. So, but as a concept, have we overdone it in cinema? What are your perspectives, and do you think we haven't covered it yet?
I don't know. Actually, if I look at it, I've done precisely 2 films, which is Company and Shootout at Lokhandwala.
Yeah. I think you were working with Suniel sir only to
Shootout at Lokhandwala. So I've done just 2 films. I think those films became iconic. I think those characters became larger than life, and I was very lucky to be a part of those films. That people assume when they say underworld, Vivek Oberoi.
Yeah.
But I've only played 2 characters in 20 years. Out of 40 odd films that I've done, I've only done 2 that have been
those two,
underworld.
I think they turned out to be hit. Maybe that's why they still talk about those.
I think so. I mean, they're good films, but I think I've had a balance. I've tried to do every color. When I came out with Company, people said, don't do anything else, just do, action. And then I did Satya. And then when I did Satya, I said, just do romance. And then I did Masti. And they said, oh, this is comedy. This is doing really well. So I keep reinventing, and because I truly believe that the story is greater than all of us. And that's what you'll see with Dharavi Bank. The story is greater than Talaivan. The story is greater than Jayan Gavaskar. The story is greater than everybody. And everybody contributes to that story.
Sir, yesterday itself it was reported that your upcoming film 323 has been served a legal notice.
323, yeah.
Yeah, 323. So does it disappoint you as an actor that it has nothing to do with the production, but still this thing is coming up?
It's funny. I mean, I was amused about the fact that somebody sent a notice sitting in some third world country saying that, don't use my name, and, you guys are spoiling our name. So I like the answer that my producer gave is, you're sitting somewhere else in the world. You're the one who's messed your own name up. Why are you asking us to clarify anything for you? What is there in public domain is what is being used. It's an interesting narrative for us. We're very clear about the fact that you have robbed us of our money, and we are just taking the facts out that is there in public domain and putting it out there. So why are we being blamed for something you have done?
Yeah.
So it was very funny that they received that notice. But we start from the 21st, and it's going on scared. And the questions being asked is, what was the previous government doing? Why were they allowed to take out this kind of money? What were the banks and their chairmen doing?
Yeah.
Who are the people who were with them? What did they do with the money? Where is that money? What happened to the thousands of people who were working with them? What happened to them? What happened to their lives? So these are the questions that the story asks, and I found it very, very interesting. And I said, you know what? After Dharavi, this works brilliantly, because again we are asking questions. And who plays what character is not important. I mean, Thalaiva is not God here. Thalaiva has got the cops on his back, and the story will unfold and tell you what all has to be told. So we're playing our roles as actors, trying to do the roles to the best of our capacity and our knowledge. And that's why I'm super excited about file number 323. And any file anyway gets into a controversy. So maybe even this one has already started. Whether it was Kashmir files or file 323.
So one last thing I wanted to know from you. Like they say, comedians are often sad sad at heart in reality. Can the same notion be applied to bad guys and good guys as well? Or are villains often the sweethearts in reality?
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. If you see in my personal life, you ask my children or my wife, they'll say, this is a comedian here. I'm very happy. Not as an actor.
But you do have a great sense of humor, Anna. You crack us up all the time.
As an actor, even at home, all the time. My wife dreads wherever she's going now. What is my husband going to come up and do?
He's a big prankster also.
But I'm happy. But no, not really. We're actors. We're playing to the gallery what our audience wants. And the question that you asked is from an OTT perspective earlier. I call that this layering, because you have so many characters that are unveiled through the entire journey of that, and one character interests you and you follow that.
Yeah.
So multi-star cast film, I believe, is a 2-hour layering when every actor shows his side of his talent, and that's why the excitement was there.
Like Shooter to Lokanwala, everybody got to appreciate it.
And everybody got to, like Border.
Yeah.
5 of us, and each one is an iconic character. Sholay, I remember Dhannu as much as I remember any other character. So we need to get back to multi-star cast film. Marvel is bringing in all their superheroes to make the film work. The film has to work at the box office. The producers have to make money. The technicians need to be paid on time. The actors need to be appreciated. That's what we need to understand and go back to the drawing table.
So Vivek, another last thing from you. For someone who's played both good guys and bad guys on screen, what's a more interesting character? The anti-hero or the textbook villain, or the boy next door?
Well, I think it depends on the narrative, right? It depends on the conflicts. It depends on the journey of a character. Like when I talk about Jayant Gavaskar, why do I like him? Is because every episode we had to peel another layer. So it's like this layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, and you realize what makes him tick, why he is the way he is. And that growth, that gradual journey till the 10th episode, you have 400 minutes across which you're building this character. That process is what an exciting process for an actor is. So whether it's a good guy, if it's, for example, a typical vanilla villain, it's the most boring thing to do on earth. Because you're like, okay, why is he doing this? No, because he's the villain. So he has to do this. And you're like, okay. So you need to build that out. Like for my layered characters, including Jayant, I write an autobiography from company till now. So I write 20 pages of what that guy's life would have been, what his experiences are that make him this way. And then that stays inside my subconscious, and I'm able to bring that out on screen. But when you work on a project where either a good guy or a bad guy does things for no reason just because the narrative says so, you realize I should have not signed this film. So I think it just depends on how interesting the characters are.
So thank you so much for doing this with me. I had a great time chatting with you, and I'm so excited to see Dharavi Bank. Thank you.
Pleasure.